What's good, bro? So, today we're going to be talking about face tracking. And not just in general, but specifically the VIve face tracker versus the Babble face tracker. Now, I did not purchase the Babble face tracker. My friend had an extra one, and he let me use it for this instance of the review. I'm I have it, but I'm not using it. So I'm gonna tell you straight up before I even get into any of the video that I personally love the VIve face tracker, and I think it is superior in a lot of different ways. I don't think the Babble is gonna be better. Straight up, that's my honest answer so far. So, what is the difference between the two? So, first off, appearance. The VIve face tracker looks a lot more professional, and I have a like consumer production Babble. So this is what they're gonna look like when you order them. And the VIve just looks a lot better and it's cleaner. It is slightly bigger than the Babble. However, the Babble has one camera and the VIve has two, so that's why. They both use Type C. However, the VIve face tracker consumes much more wattage compared to the Babble face tracker. As for the setup I'm using when I plug them in, I'm using a VIve Pro I with the wireless adapter. So straight off the bat, if you plug the VIve face tracker into a Type C hub, then it'll work with the wireless adapter perfectly fine. But if you do that with the Babble tracker, for some reason it disables my eye tracking. So I couldn't get it to work at all. I had to use the wireless feature on the Babble tracker via the antenna, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So, how do you set them up? Well, the VIve face tracker consists of installing Serenipal and then the VR Chat OSC app. That's literally it. Of course, use an avatar that has supported face tracking, but that's all you have to do. And assuming you already have a VIve Pro I, then you don't even need to install Serenipal because you already have it. The Babble face tracker, you have to install the Babble app, and you have to calibrate it in that app. And then, of course, put it through VRChat OSC app. Same thing. So they both have only one software. They're both relatively easy to set up. However, if you want to use the Babble wirelessly, then you have to do some firmware flashing through an app. It's really not hard if you know what you're doing, and if you've flashed firmware before, it's not hard. But it does have a little. Those are just extra steps you're gonna have to take if you want to use it wirelessly. So, how's the actual performance? Well, later in the video, I'm gonna show an actual performance of each tracker. But my personal opinion, before I show anything at the end, is the VIve face tracker seems to be a lot faster and more reliable. The Babble, it works fine. It's just there seems to be a lot more delay. I tried wired and wireless. Obviously, wireless is even worse in the delay. But I tried both, and there's just very noticeable delay because after using the VIve face tracker for so long, there's just so much delay that it annoys me. It's part of the reason I'm not using it. Also for the power issue. Now, the power issue I'm talking about is because I flashed it wirelessly and to use the VIve face tracker, or sorry, the Babble face tracker wirelessly. I still have to power it, and I can't plug it into the headset. So basically, I just plug it into the battery where my headset's plugged into. So my headset battery will last longer because this tracker doesn't eat up as much juice. But the downside being, it's, the Babble tracker. That is the downside. And the wireless feature through it is using Wi-Fi. So that can't ever be really consistent if you have other people using your Wi-Fi. If you set up your own separate router for it, maybe that would work better. But if you're using the Wi-Fi that other people are using, then it's just not going to be consistent because of bandwidth variation. The positive to the Babble tracker is the calibration, and the Babble software is very, very accurate, and it's nice to be able to tweak each individual face movement. However, the VRChat VRC OSC app added the ability to calibrate the VIve face tracker, and you can also see the debug camera for it now. So because they added that, I mean, the Babble's one positive isn't really a positive anymore, because calibrating the VIve face tracker makes it even better than it already was, and a lot more accurate and consistent. However, you can't tweak it to the customizability that the Babble does, but you can like get a better calibration than just what it normally had, which is just staring at your mouth, and you hope you got the angle right because you can't see the debug camera. But now you can. Now the other positive to Babble is that you don't have to buy the Babble tracker. It's an open source software, so you could somehow figure out how to strap a camera to your headset or something and use the Babble app to, use it as a face tracker. That's the whole point. It's like Slime, but for face tracking. Now, I think it's a good idea, whatever, but it just doesn't beat superiority to VIve. Now, obviously, if you're looking at price, I'm going to give it to Babble because, I mean, it's like, what, 80, 100 bucks for one of those? Plus, if you made one, could be cheaper. Thirdly, the used market is going to be cheaper if people start selling theirs. And the VIve face tracker has the same issue that the VIve Pro I does, is it's discontinued. So it used to be great, $150, woo. And then they, discontinued it for some weird reason. So now it's like upwards of 600-700. You're lucky to find it for $5. But I mean, it's reliable. And I've killed 2 of them, but that's only because of my stupid self using batteries with high voltage. So that's my fault. But in terms of the actual quality, the VIve face tracker would last you like a really long time because cameras have decent lifespan. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go over in terms of like the differences between them and what I think. And obviously I like the VIve one more, but I think the Babble's still a great option, and it's supposed to make face tracking mainstream, which it's very capable of doing because of its price. So now I'm just going to show you a demo for each one on my headset.